Well, hey everyone. If you've been around my channel for more than 5 minutes, you know that I take prints pretty seriously. In fact, my deep dive print lab review turned out to be one of my most watched videos, and I still get questions about it every single month. One question that comes up more than I ever expected is about personal photo books. People ask me all the time, hey Matt, what do you recommend if you want to make a book of my photos, but I don't want to remortgage my house or curse my family name when it arrives looking terrible? So here we are. Recently, the folks at Adorama got in touch and connected me with their marketing team over at Printique, which, for those of you that don't know, is Adorama's in-house print lab with a solid reputation. I figured if I'm going to answer these questions properly, I should stop pretending that I know everything and actually order a book myself. But you know me, I don't half-bake things, so I pulled out all the stops and I ordered their top-of-the-line leather photo book. Because if I'm going to judge, I'm going to judge the best of the best. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you get when you order one of these things. I'll be covering the packaging, the build, the print quality, the price, the good, the bad, and whether I'd trust this book to represent my work or if I'd rather toss it in the back of the closet next to my high school yearbooks and other questionable life choices. If you're a photographer looking to preserve your own images, create a classy portfolio to show clients, or give a gift that'll outlast a bottle of wine, this review should help you figure out if Printique's leather photo book is worth your hard-earned cash. All right, well, let's crack this thing open and see if it lives up to the hype. Well, all right, let's talk about how this book showed up on my doorstep, because we all know half of the anxiety of ordering anything expensive online is wondering if your UPS carrier is going to punt it onto the porch like a football. Thankfully, Printique did not disappoint on the shipping front. The package was very secure, everything inside was well protected, and nothing arrived looking like it took a tour through a rock tumbler. Inside the shipping box, the book itself comes wrapped in plastic for extra protection, nestled snugly inside a very presentable blue box. This box is sort of a portfolio style case with a magnetic clasp that keeps the lid shut. A nice touch that immediately feels more premium than just pulling a book out of a plain mailer. However, and you knew there'd be a however, this box is made of cardboard, and while it looks great out of the gate, it's not exactly built like Fort Knox. It scratches easily, and it can tear in the corners if you're not gentle. And if you're like me, flipping through your photo books, you can expect it to show some fingerprints and oil smudges faster than you can say hand sanitizer. So if the box is intended to be an integral long-term part of this product, like a protective slipcase for a collector's edition, I'd love to see Printique use something a bit more durable, especially for these larger, heavier books. But as a first impression, clean, classy, secure. It definitely says, hey, this is a serious photo book right out of the box. Well, let's talk about the part that immediately makes people raise their eyebrows and nod approvingly the moment they pick this thing up: the cover and the build. First off, the cover, it's fantastic. The second that I held it, I immediately thought of that scene in Anchorman. You know the one.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
That's exactly the timeless vibe that this thing gives off. Rich, smooth leather, or faux leather if you choose, plenty of color options, and you can emboss your name or title right on the front. For my book, I chose to emboss my name on the cover, which I think looks pretty sharp, but I would have loved to have the option to emboss on the spine as well. Unfortunately, that option doesn't quite exist yet. Moving inside, I went full Mad Hatter with this order. Maximum size, maximum pages, maximum paper thickness. The binding quality is solid and handles the weight surprisingly well, considering that this behemoth weighs in at a casual 14 pounds. I went with their thickest paper option, which, in hindsight, might have been a tad excessive if you don't have a personal bouncer to help you flip the pages. The pages themselves feel amazing though. They're heavy, rigid, and show off photography beautifully. You do have to turn them with a bit of care, but the trade-off is that each spread feels more like an actual mounted print than a flimsy magazine page. This isn't technically a true lay flat design, but it comes impressively close, which means if you want to go full cinematic with your images, spanning 2 pages, you'll get a glorious 15 by 30 inch visual punch every time you open the book up. I did exactly that, and everyone that I've shown it to has been genuinely wowed. For reference, my specific order was a premium album, 12 by 15 inches, 100 pages, silk paper finish, contemporary binding with a gold stamp line. All in, this cost about $815. Now hold your gasps. I'll explain later while I don't actually think that's unreasonable for what you get here. Compared to other photo books that I own, which, to be fair, are in a different weight class, this feels more like a portfolio piece or a museum showpiece than something that you'd casually toss on the coffee table next to the remote. It has presence. It demands a little ceremony to open it, and honestly, that's exactly what I was hoping for. All right, let's get into the guts of what really matters. How does the actual print look on the page? I went with Printique's silk paper for this book, and I have to say, it's a fantastic choice for photography. It has a subtle sheen that gives images a bit of pop without turning them into a shiny mess that reflects every little light in your house. As far as color accuracy goes, I was genuinely impressed. Colors felt true to what I saw on my calibrated screen, but, and this is a friendly reminder to all of you who skip soft proofing, like most photo paper, you'll get the best results if you prep your files specifically for print. I recommend lifting your blacks a touch and bumping up your luminance to keep your shadows from clogging up. Do that and you'll be pretty happy with the results. Sharpness is excellent. The images are crisp, details hold up nicely, and there's no weird banding, misalignment, or strange color shifts lurking in the corners. One reason for this, I suspect, is that these books are printed digitally in Adobe RGB rather than going through a CMYK conversion, which can sometimes introduce surprise color hiccups. All in all, the book does a commendable job of showcasing the photos the way that I intended them to be seen, no obvious loss of quality, and no head-scratching moments where you wonder, did I really edit it like that? In short, the paper is awesome, the print process is great, and if you prep your files properly, you'll be in great shape. When it comes to making this book your own, Printique gives you plenty of room to play. You can pick between genuine leather or vegan leather for the cover, and there are 12 color options. So whether you're feeling traditional black or something more daring, they've got you covered. Size-wise, there's a nice spread of dimensions to choose from, 6 by 6 for something pocket-sized, all the way up to 10 by 15 for those of us who think bigger is always better. I naturally went large because restraint has never been my strong suit when it comes to printing my own work. I'll be honest, I was fully prepared to hate the design process. I expected to spend a whole weekend cursing at my screen, fighting with clunky software, and eating cold pizza at 2 a.m. Instead, I used one of their pre-made layout wizards called Minimal Wedding, and it turned out to be surprisingly pleasant. Dare I say fun? All I had to do was upload my photos and start dragging and resizing them directly on the web page. The entire design took about an hour from start to finish, which for a 100-page book is, frankly, impressive. You can also add text, tweak layouts, and customize to your heart's content, but I kept it clean and simple. One unexpected bonus was how the design process made me pause and actually think about how I wanted to present my work. I split the book into 3 sections, Colorado, the desert, and the Arctic, and added a short blurb to introduce each region. It forced me to curate with intention rather than just dumping images onto pages. So, bonus points for that accidental bit of discipline. As for fulfillment and shipping, it was faster than I expected. The entire process, from hitting order to having this behemoth on my doorstep, was about 2 weeks. Printique kept me in the loop the entire way, which I super appreciate. No mysterious radio silence while you're refreshing your tracking number for the 100th time. Overall, the whole experience was smooth, easy, and maybe just a little too tempting to repeat. All right, well, if you made it this far, first, thank you for sticking with me through my entire deep dive into the world of leather-bound photographic decadence. If you're curious about trying out a Printique photo leather book for yourself, I've included a link down in the video description. It is an affiliate link, which means if you use it, you're directly supporting my work at no extra cost to you, and I truly appreciate that. If you have any questions about this book, Printique in general, or photo books in your own business, drop them in the comments. I try to respond to every single one of you, or at least point you in the right direction. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more like it, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share it with anyone who's still storing their precious memories in a shoebox under the bed.